Hey, welcome to CMN Less Than 10, a video resource produced by the Church Multiplication Network. It's guaranteed to be less than 10 minutes. I'm here with my friend Dallas from Grace Church in Houston. He's on the lead team. Dallas, we're going to be held accountable.
Let's do it.
There's going to be a timer. They're going to put it on the screen.
I'm going to stick to it.
Even if you didn't stick to it, they're cutting this video off at 10 minutes.
I get it. I'll do my best. You'll do your best.
That's
to
right.
Make it happen.
We are going to be talking today about becoming the leader that every leader wants to lead.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say it one more time for those in the back that might not have heard. How to become the leader that every leader wants to lead. So break it down for us. You lead a staff, you lead a team, you're on a team also. And so you're in between both leading people and being a leader underneath other leaders. Tell us, what are some of the qualities that leaders need to be looking for?
Okay, first off, obviously we could go all day long.
Right.
But let's just make it real simple. The first thing I would tell anybody out there is show up.
Show up.
Show up. Make sure that you don't just manage, you lead. Make sure that you're prepared. I mean, I remember a game changer for me in my 20s.
Yeah.
I showed up
Come
to a
Jesus meeting.
Oh, we've all had them, or we will have them.
Right.
I showed up to a meeting with like some stuff just kind of jotted down randomly on a sheet of paper. I slid it across to my pastor at the time, and I'm like, here's what we want to talk about. I think I was like 2 or 3 minutes late to the meeting.
Right.
And he just took it, slid it back to me, and said, "How about if you come back when you're prepared?"
Wow.
From that day on, never met with another pastor again that I did not have typed out, structured agenda notes.
Right. Every meeting should have an agenda.
Dude, I make the most of my leader's time.
Wow. So to be a leader that every leader wants to lead, you got to show up, and you got to show up prepared.
Absolutely. It's how are you going to lighten the load?
Right.
How are you going to make sure that their job's easier because you came in that day?
One of the things that I found is very helpful, at least for me, is to know how long a meeting is going to be.
Absolutely.
So instead of saying, we're going to have this meeting at this time, I love to know what time the meeting is going to start, as well as what time is this meeting going to end.
It's really important. And you got to show up early.
Show up early.
And be watching the clock yourself.
That's right.
That when that time hits, even if you're not done, you say, "Okay, Pastor, hey, thank you for your time."
Reschedule for next time or whatever.
Exactly.
Right.
And then if they want to tell you, "No, sit back down, we're going to keep going,"
Right.
That's their call.
That's right.
But what you're doing is, I value your time. I value
so good.
this time.
Wouldn't it be awesome if every meeting had one of these clocks like we have it just counting down, and we knew that valuing time is so important. So showing up is one of the first qualities. What's the next one?
Okay, you got to step up.
Step up.
You got to step up. The question is your leader leading you? Are you able to lead yourself?
Wow.
Are they having to watch your clock, your work ethic,
Sure.
what you're doing?
Right.
Are they having to develop your structure of how you're personally growing?
Do they have to clean up after you every
Yes.
single time? Right.
Yes. Do they have to go and look at whatever you've been doing to make sure you actually did it?
Right.
So you've got to step up.
Yeah.
You got to go, am I really a part of this? Am I really in on this? Am I leading?
Right.
Or am I just being led?
Right. Am I doing the bare minimum, or am I thinking about this even when I'm not required to be thinking about this?
Absolutely.
I think about our high capacity volunteers, and the thing that sticks out to me the most about our high capacity volunteers, not staff members, but people that we lead that aren't on payroll, they're thinking about our church way more than the average attendee. They're thinking about our church on Tuesday afternoon. While most people who come to our church just think about our church on a Sunday morning, they're making notes. They're saying, "Pastor, we could do this and we could do that." So they're preparing themselves. They're showing up, and they are stepping up their game and how often they think about that.
So you got to show up, step up.
Step up.
And the last thing I would throw out there is you got to speak up. You got to speak up. Now, for this one, if you're on staff or you want to be on staff, don't just put it on your leader that they have to become your best friend. First of all, they probably don't have time, and it's probably not going to happen.
Right.
But every opportunity I have to be around my leader, I put myself out there, even taking a chance of maybe looking silly, to let them know, hey, I want to get to know you. I want to give you a chance to get to know me. That chemistry is really important. Most of the time, the reason why it's not going to work out at the organization you're at is not because of your competency, it's because of your chemistry.
Right.
So you got to work on that.
That's great. I remember one of the things that I did for my leader was, if he was running an errand, going to get his oil changed, or taking his car to the shop, and he was going to be sitting in that waiting room for an hour or whatever, I'd just go with him. Hey, can I go with you to get your oil changed? Or can I go with you to the car dealership? Or whatever it is. Why? Because I knew that outside the office, in a different environment, I'd be able to see them interacting in a different light, and I'd be able to get to know them a lot better.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
And the one last thing I would really throw out there is when it comes to speaking up is your pastor needs to know that you have their back.
That's right.
You're not just going to talk behind it. You've got their back.
Right. You're going to defend.
Yes, exactly.
You're going to protect, and you're going to always have their back. I've also heard it said not only have their back, but also have their heart.
That is so on.
It is so on. So if a leader is watching this right now, maybe they're serving under a senior leader and the chemistry is not there, what would you say to them it would be a good first step to maybe try to bridge that gap? Let's say they know they're called by God to be there. Their senior leader it's just not clicking. What are some of the things that a leader could do to help establish that chemistry?
Okay, first off, recognize this. You're there to serve that leader.
Yeah.
So you've got to find out, like you said, their heart.
Right.
And realize the only person you can control in this relationship is yourself. So many times we want to put it on them and say it's not working because.
Right.
But you got to look at yourself and say, okay, what can I tweak? What can I do? How can I change my language? How can I change my approach? It's how can I?
Right.
It's
easy to point fingers at the senior leader and say, well, if only they had more time, or if only they weren't like this. But what could I do?
There is no perfect environment.
Right.
There is no perfect place.
Right.
There's just
the grass is not always greener. It's not always greener. Right.
It's God put me here.
Right.
So that's the leader I'm going to serve.
Sure.
Good, bad, ugly.
100%.
I'm going to serve them. It doesn't mean that I may not be honest sometimes behind closed doors, but even that's done in respect.
Sure.
But when we walk out of that room, everybody in that organization,
unified.
It looks like I am the biggest fan of them and everything that's going on.
Right. That's so good. Maybe there's a senior leader and they want to be able to reach down to the people that they lead and bridge that gap. What would you say to a senior leader, to someone that is leading a team who maybe they're struggling with that chemistry right now?
Make time. Find out their passion.
Yeah.
Help them win.
Yeah.
You know, it's incredible how exciting an organization can become when your team feels like they're winning.
Right, for sure.
But if your team member doesn't feel like they're measuring up to what you want, or they don't feel like they're measuring up to what God's called them to do while there, it's miserable. For everybody.
Right.
And everybody's looking, how can I get out of this thing? What's next? Where am I going to go? I don't want to be here. It becomes a bare minimum thing.
Right. Energy is low, morale is low, meetings are boring.
So just ask the question, give them time to talk, listen, give them feedback, create the win.
That's great. Well, I'm so grateful for you, Dallas. Thanks for your time this week.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for watching this week's episode of CMN Less Than 10. We'll see you next time.